everyone, it's me, Sky. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates on Seanstermations MIRAI. I can't wait! Anyway, till next time, have fun!
Hello everybody, my name is Seanster and welcome back to the second part of the Looking Back series via this month's Seanstermations MIRAI update. Last time on this four-part series, to which we are now on the second part, we look back at the foundation of the Seanstermations series, the secret behind its name, what the story was originally going to be, how it changed to avoid any copyright laws, and will still continue to as we move on to MIRAI. Then we had a little bit of a breakdown between Series 1 and 2, which granted is more shorts than series, and we also discussed how it helped for the future, basically creating the very foundation that you see today for Season 3 onward. But today, we're going to be going into the cream of the crop, the original Seanstermations era, and as I was prepping myself for this video, it's a big era, because unlike Seanstermations Next, there were a lot of spin-offs, there were a lot more seasons than originally, and thanks to Seanstermations Next premiering around about the same time as Season 3, there were a couple of improvements that, of course, I had to do to make sure that it perfectly ties in with the future series that would be Seanstermations Next, which we'll discuss about in the third part. But today is going to be a real blast from the past, because Season 3 of Seanstermations, or technically it should have been Season 1 again, due to trying to find a basic background for the series, but having a little bit of a look back, and with all the video game spin-offs and the Seanster plays Dragon Ball FighterZ trying to get it in there, and there's a couple of things I could have done back there that I will be sure to do in a form of a filler arc for Seanstermations MIRAI. But nevertheless, today we will be discussing through all the good moments, all the moments that could have been changed, and all the moments that made Seanstermations what it is, to then it was eventually carried on over to the future seasons of Seanstermations Next. But before we start this video, and if you enjoy, I'd just like to say, everybody, thank you so much for joining me in the last part. Although these are going to be monthly updates, I highly appreciate your patience and your support, and I hope that today's little update will be another blast from the past, even more so than the last part, due to it just mainly focusing around the background as well as the first actual content of Seanstermations, given it not being a series. But now that we're heading into the main series part, I really hope that you enjoyed the show, and it will be a true blast from the past, I can guarantee you. And if you enjoyed this update, as well as the content that's yet to come, with Manny returning for Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy: The Duelist Link Evolution this Saturday, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content coming soon. I've got everything all set out. There's going to be at least a couple of parts. I may discuss a few parts of it. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, so I don't overextend the time limit. But yet again, I mean, what am I talking about? I mean, the more time we take to look back, the more the legacy of the series will eventually help me rise. So, yeah, I'm not worried about time limits. Sorry, I'm just a little bit tired because one of my cats came in early in the morning. This is an entirely new cat, not the one that you saw, like the ones that you saw in my cat videos, but we got ourselves a brand new kitten. She loves to go up the stairs. She likes to follow me around, likes to clamps onto my feet. And this morning she almost went on my bed when I was sleeping, but likely due to my door getting open because of the wind. But once this update gets going, I'll be a little bit more awake, and I do apologise if I seem like I'm stuttering or whatnot. But main case in point, I hope you all enjoyed the show, and now that everyone's here, everyone's looking forward to it, let's begin part 2 of the Looking Back series. And as you can see by the picture that is being displayed before you, each episode there is going to be a brand new colored in picture, basically filling out all the spaces. So as you can see, Sabi on the left and Sean, but on Sabi's on the right of Sabi, have been coloured so far. We will then colour in Shun in the third part, and then we'll colour little baby Sky at part 4, just to wrap things up nice in a little bow. But now, for everyone at Seanster Supervisor, as well as everyone for the Mass Legion, and everyone on the Seanster Patrol made by family, let us begin part 2 of the Looking Back series and look back into Seanstermations. So, kicking this off right along, let's talk about Seanstermations Season 3. This was where Seanstermations began its long legacy, as the series was now into its foundation. But then, when I did get into it, and this is especially important due to the Season 2 finale when I set up the character Zark, the Universal Guardian, I was wondering what I was going to do with him down the line. Originally, I was going to make Zark a villain to some point, like the final villain of Season 3. But then I had, while of course you're being inspired by other anime, to be fair, I did think that if I had introduced Zark as like a villain this early on in the series, it would just like lose like any interest for like the series going on. Like there wouldn't be like any more hype for new villains coming soon. So Zark was pushed to being a Beerus like character from Dragon Ball, and of course the battle between Sean and Zark in Season 3, it was a lot more intense than I bargained for, to be fair, because I didn't like do a fight scene that big like in a long time. So basically that was my first ever long fight scene that I actually have ever done. And thinking back, it was just absolutely mind-blowing. But of course, there was the Super Saiyan thing in there, which of course will all be retconned if I ever do decide to recreate the events for a filler arc for Seanstermations MIRAI. Then, because I pushed Zark into more of a supporting character role, I had the little problem of not having a villain. But a few days after I released the episode, and while watching the Goku Black arc of Dragon Ball Super, let's just say that a little birdie told me that a new character came to mind, and so with enough time, enough patience, and an art that may consider to be similar to the Goku Black art, but again, it will all be retconned in Mirai, Zen was born. The brother of Zark, Zen, was born. Now, Zen was, I won't lie, Zen was basically Zamasu. Okay, again, this was like before Seanstermations Mirai. This was before like when Seanstermations really got to its prime with Season 4 onward. But Zen, although he wasn't the best villain that I ever made, to be fair, he definitely seemed a lot more challenging, and it definitely raised the stakes for the characters going onward, and this would ultimately affect Sean as well as the characters moving on, because back then when they were training with Sora, they didn't have much of a challenge. Sora was like, they're stabilizers, but then when you take those stabilizers off, they can then see how tricky riding the bike, that is, the battles that they have to face on ahead, are going to be. It's going to be difficult, and Zen was definitely a difficult challenge. The final fight with Xeno Sean, the main timeline Sean and Zen, I'll admit I could have done it differently, because I did have to make EX Sean, which was, of course, based on around the EX fusions of Dragon Ball fusions. I don't know what I was doing back then. Maybe I just wanted to make some sort of hype for the finale, like a little bit of a fusion, whatnot. But then looking back, fusion just seems a little bit, totally just kills the mood. Like I'm pretty sure that Sean and Xeno Sean back then, now thinking about it, they could have done them together, like fighting as a unison, side by side, and then Xeno Sean landing the final blow. That could have been better, but again, because this was pre-Seanstermations and I had no idea what I was going to do that for, what I was going to do for the series going forward, because again, this was early in the series development. But hopefully when I get into doing some more retcons, I'll likely fix the Xeno Sean and Zen fights. So no need to worry about that. But then season 3 finale then set up, thankfully, the Xeno Sean Files. So again, if it wasn't for season 3, and as well as the game that inspired all of Seanstermations, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. I don't think the Xeno Sean Files would have been possible. And while that's a different subject altogether, and although season 3 was only a start, it was a good start. Looking back, it was a good start, and it was only the catalyst of what the original Seanstermations series was going to become. Moving on to season 4, however, season 4 was just a relaxing series, if anything. A relaxing yet, dramatic series. And honestly, I was going to make that the final season before moving on to Seanstermations next, because at the time, I did release Seanstermations next side by side with the third season of Seanstermations. Might have been the second. It's been keep in mind, it has been a long time since I've uploaded any Seanstermations episodes since the next finale. Real tearjerker, but that's for the next part. Season 4 basically just covered up, wrapped up a few character arcs, maybe even extended upon that. And of course, I almost forgot, season 3 was when I introduced Maisie too. Maisie, I almost forgot to mention that. Why did I forget Maisie? Or I keep forgetting a thing like that. When I introduced Maisie into the series, Maisie was sort of like a student role for Sean to take on as the role of master, but as it became blatantly apparent, Sean wasn't going to be the only one, overlooking her teachings. But thankfully, with the support of Yami, Shauna, and Minazuki, they all took turns in training Maisie. And when taking the movies into account, Maisie can either be considered underrated or not very developed enough. But hopefully, again, this will all be fixed by the filler arc of Seanstermations MIRAI. But going back to season 4, season 4 was, if anything, a redemption arc, or at the very least, trying for a redemption arc for Zen, with the birth of a new Universal Guardian, changing his heart altogether. I won't lie, okay? I almost cried at the end of the second to last episode of Seanstermations season 4. But the finale of season 4, it was mainly to go over Sean and Shauna's relationship. It wouldn't fully be coming into full circle until season 5, otherwise known as Seanstermations Extra, which that one Elliot has sussed out that I do tend to continue the story a little bit too much, especially in this particular part of the Seanstermations series in general, the original. But just ending it off like that. And it's also the last episode I get to use Rufus, the character that I based around the old man from Phelan Porteus, otherwise known as Phalus. But again, due to major changes going on at the time, I did have to make that Rufus's final scene. But as our characters moved on into the future with the opening tune from season 3 going in the background, which of course was done perfectly. Again, there will be original songs in MIRAI. It's opened the doors to new adventures, new possibilities, to which we will get into right now with the OVAs. Now, the OVAs, again, were like short stories, combining with the story structure of Seanstermations in general. Again, these were made practically to just fill in a couple of Seanstermations content, although this was also when we were introduced to another new character, the Dragon Girl Skyler. Now, you may be wondering, is Skyler based off another Dragon Girl anime? The one where a dragon becomes a maid to some girl with a pretty tough job? Partially so. But I never would have thought that Skyler would get far into the series until later on with Seanstermations Extra. But again, yep, there were things I could change. Maybe the things I couldn't have changed at the time. But the OVAs, they definitely set my sights on the horizon while I was doing any future series of Seanstermations. But the real cream of the crop came before Seanstermations next in the in-game spin-offs, which we'll get into right now. So the in-game spin-offs for Seanstermations, they were mainly just parts of the Seanstermations story being implemented into game story. Again, if not for a few design changes, especially with the retcon lists I did to implement into Seanstermations MIRAI, I would have taken a... Oh, I promised myself I wouldn't mention his name again. I would have taken more of a Sonichu route if I stayed the way I did, but thankfully it will definitely all change. But the main in-game spin-off that I did, aside from from Dragon Ball Z 2, is Mega Dimension Neptunia V2, which of course is the first Neptunia game that went on the channel. It was absolutely fantastic, but it started off a little bit rough because the Seanstermations characters appeared in the 5th episode of that Seanster Plays, to which, of course, it was recreated later on in the Manny Plays. Again, back in the day, I just didn't think what to do with the original story because I finished Seanstermations, I finished off with the OVAs, so I thought might as well implement them into the story just for an extra little bit of content. But thankfully that gave it some idea on what exactly to do for later on in the series if I ever did decide to bring it back, which I did later on with Seanstermations Extra. Extra served as a tie-in between the Mega Dimension Neptunia V2 series and in between that and Seanster Plays Dragon Ball FighterZ, which would likely be the complete end of Seanstermations. But focusing right now on Extra, it's safe to say that Extra was my favourite series of the original Seanstermations timeline. Season 3 was good, and Season 4 was definitely a nice change of pace, but Extra definitely filled in quite a lot of spaces in my heart. The introduction of the character Yumi, the tyrant that is Wolfgang Tenma, who was very close with Demon God Ozuma, who was originally created for Xeno Sean Files, and then is now a full-time villain for the Seanstermations series altogether. But the last battle between our heroes and Wolfgang Tenma, again, I mean, with plenty of time and plenty of patience, it actually turned out very well. And when it came out and when the finale came out, of course, it felt like a very grand ending and a proper send-off to the original series. To then it would be transferred over to Next again, which was released around about the same time. But if anything, I mean, that's just the way it goes. I mean, you learn from what you did back then, and it eventually becomes a lot more brighter. And if it wasn't for all of that, seasons 3, 4, and the in-game spin-offs, then that Next would not be like that. Next would possibly be going down the Sonichu route. But thankfully, it was all the more great. It was just fantastic. There were no words to describe how awesome it was. But then, its tie-in at the very end, Seanster Plays Dragon Ball FighterZ, that was when it ended Seanstermations in general. The epilogue at the end of Extras may have ended it off nicely, but Seanster Plays Dragon Ball FighterZ was the true ending of Seanstermations at the finale, mainly focusing on Sean, his battle with the Machine Mutants and Atrocin. Again, as much as I do love Atrocin, he will be retconned due to Hyperdimension Neptunia characters being there, Dragon Ball characters being there. But next time when I do Atrocin, and because his death was off screen, which now looking back, it just didn't do the character justice considering how much screen time he was given with the animated endings of each episode. So when I do go into redoing the entire Atrocin arc, it will be brief, it will be abridged, don't worry, it won't take over Seanstermations MIRAI in general. I'm not going the One Piece route, I'm not going to make 1,000 episodes. I'm pretty sure the voice actors would probably would probably flip their lid. But yeah, I'm sure it goes either way. But yeah, again, it won't be 1,000 episodes. The episode count may be increased a bit for Seanstermations MIRAI, but it won't go over 1,000 episodes. That is my goal. That is my goal, not to go over the 1,000 mark. It just will not work. It just will not work. Right, sorry about that. It's just my peeps coming back. Right, let's see, where was I? The final question of the day before we end off another update, and it's the same question: how it helped for the future of Seanstermations MIRAI in general. Well, I recently say that, well, I've been saying up until now that Seanstermations Next was the better out of the two, but now looking back, and especially after the last update, it really got me pondering that if that answer was true, thankfully, it doesn't seem to be the case. They're all good. And despite every bizarre adventure, every trial and tribulation, Seanstermations, it was very special, if anything. For this particular series of Seanstermations, set up the foundation of everything. All the adventures to come within Seanstermations Next, all the things that have happened, which will eventually tie into other stories like the Xeno Sean Files and the future series Seanstermations MIRAI. And it could also inspire to become better than what it was than it originally was. But to say that Seanstermations Next is better than its founding father or mother, it would be a gross understatement. And while the story writing was a lot better in Seanstermations Next, in my personal opinion, without the catalyst that is Seanstermations, I don't know where the story would go after that. It continued to learn as it went along, and with every new season, it further improves on the story and makes better choices in terms of the storyline. Occasionally, even more so than others. With every new character, with every new villain, there's always some sense of an improvement, and that ultimately reflected into Seanstermations Next, making it a lot more better than it already was. But again, without Seanstermations, without all of the struggles, the hardships, the joys, the sorrows that came with the series, then I don't know where we would be. It was great. It was a great series, and I miss it every day when I do look back on it. The legacy that it has, I just hope that Seanstermations MIRAI will have just as much love as it did, as the original series did. But that's a story for another time, because that's all I've got to say about that. But with that, that is going to be the end of the second part out of 4 parts in the Looking Back series for this update. But although this is the end, of course, with the next part being revolving around the Seanstermations Next era, it's going to be a real wild part right there. But despite that, if you enjoyed this video and have watched this update to the end, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content coming soon. Again, your support is very much supported, and I'm so thankful and honoured that all of you have come by to join me on another adventure through the history of Seanstermations. As we progress further and further, we'll be able to see more of it and see how Seanstermations Next came to be, as well as the Seanstermations movies to wrap it up. And then at the end, there's definitely going to be a little bit of a heartfelt moment, because I always seem to get teary-eyed at the finale, but we've still got a ways to go yet. All in all, I'm very thankful, and I cannot wait to see you all next time for part 3, where we will again discuss about the Seanstermations Next series. But for only Seanster 5, as well as everyone from the Mass Legion and everyone in the Seanster Patrol Made by family, thank you all so much for watching. Everyone that has provided voices for the Seanstermation project so far, as well as the people who've supported Seanstermations up till now. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all for part 3. Hope you all have a good weekend, and I'll see you all next time. Or, well, yeah, I guess not the weekend. Yeah, I should probably say that with the... Or Manny should probably say that with the... Sorry, still tired. Probably check where that cheeky little kitty is. But for now, have a safe week, and I'll see you all next time, everybody. Bye.